Just got these fresh out the box. Oh, anyway, I spent recently £30,000, 30 fucking grand on a mastermind, which costs more than my car. I don't care about cars, just for context. But I want to talk to you about what I learned. More importantly, what I relearned, because I made a massive investment, and weirdly enough, I kind of didn't learn anything new, which is pretty much the whole point. So, if you don't know me, my name is Chris James, the ex-loser, currently trying to be a winner. And today, I'm going to talk you through the 6 takeaways that I had from this mastermind I went to in the UK last week. So we are going to take the magic marker. Yes. And we are going to Van Gogh the shit out of the flip chart. Now, if you don't know what a mastermind is, typically they are higher level groups of people who operate in business. They get together and they try and solve problems kind of like a hive mind. And I've been in a few. Probably invested over 6 figures in my self-development, business education, in order to become a better operator, a better thinker, ultimately a better person who can have more impact. And the funny thing about these masterminds is that actually, a lot of the time, it's kind of more of a reminder of what other people in the room are doing that you have almost forgotten. You've kind of forgotten some of the basics, because if you're anything like me, you probably get caught up a little bit in the day-to-day and in the strategies and, more importantly, the tactics, and you start deploying stuff when actually you don't need to. So I thought this would be a handy watch. Deploying some of these things has actually been a massive part of enabling me to make over 2 million organically on LinkedIn, only using my personal brand. So I run a group program called C2C, and we help solo founders, just like you, use content, conversations and systems to add an extra 8 to 10k, there or thereabouts, per month. Again, organically. But let's get into it. So you've probably, over the past couple of years, if you've been on some sort of entrepreneur-based journey, you've probably bought a few courses, joined a couple of programs, had a couple of coaches, something like that. If you haven't, I recommend you do, because it's a fucking amazing experience. But what we look at here, the first thing, is the fact that not as many people are as eager to learn as they once were. And there's one simple reason for that. It's fucking AI, all right? Information available like that, baby. You can get it, and you can get it fast. So why would you pay for it? And some of the operators inside the mastermind that I was in last week were feeling this, because a lot of them run webinars in order to convert people into paid products or services. And they'd noticed a bit of a trend. I have as well, and I don't know if you have too, but not as many people attend webinars and learning-based things as they once did, okay? So if you think about it, you've probably collected a lot of information. If you've been through a few courses and stuff, you've probably not finished them all. You've probably got a massive to-do list or a big swipe file like I have on WhatsApp full of cool ideas that I might like hijack from someone else or whatever. But you don't act on it. And it's never ending, all right? There is actually a symptom. Is it a symptom? There's something, basically a disease, where you just obsess over collecting fucking information. And me and my friend Ed were talking about it a while ago, and he had to actually delete all the information, all these swipe files and bits of content and advice and wisdom and mindset and principles stuff that he collected in his own WhatsApp group with himself, and he had to delete it because it was taking over his life. And I kind of feel like that at the moment online. There is just so much info. So obviously the question then becomes, well, if people aren't as eager to join something to learn, whether it's free or paid, how do we counteract that? And the general consensus of the room is, if you are going to push training or any kind of educational material, then you should probably include a couple of extra bits, a couple of extra things that people can use, i.e. more materials, i.e. like swipe files or prompts, or we talked about Claude skills, or tools themselves. Because I think people are getting a little bit sick of the information or the consumption of the information, because it's so vast, because anyone can create anything in seconds, whether it's true or not. So the reason I do videos like this is so you can hear me in real time and actually work out if you fucking like me or not. Hopefully you do. Hello. If not, bye. But they want to be able to take action, all right? Actionable shit is where it's at. If you think about what you can do with AI now, you can literally take an idea and turn it into something tangible in seconds, whether that's a carousel, whether it's a tool that you built. I actually built my own kind of like calorie and sleep tracker that I just put information in every morning to, and it sorts me out. Could be doing better, but we'll get there. But the gap between idea and execution is smaller than ever. Used to take months, now it can take days, maybe even hours for you to be able to execute on something. And ultimately that's what people want, or at least they think they want, is something tangible to be able to come out of the exchange of them giving their time for it. So as an extra incentive, if you are starting to provide, whether it's a VSL like that people have to download, whether it's a free webinar or training, whether it's a paid thing, whether it's a program or a course that you're putting together, you should probably think about the extra things that are actually going to get people to act on the information, because that's the problem right now. People are consuming, but not necessarily getting the results that they want because they're so obsessed with consuming. Therefore, they get a bit bored and they probably try and dabble with their own shit. But if you're an expert, you're the person that can bring those tools to the forefront, all right? And I've done this myself inside C2C. So every workshop we host, I usually include some form of tool that will help you get that result faster. And for our paying clients, I've actually built the C2C app, which is our business intelligence platform. And that takes the person's data and displays it to them in a way that's actually digestible and shows them where their progress is, whether that's financially, whether it's across social content, whatever. And it also combines with a layer of AI. So they can take the data that they've used, it plugs in with our frameworks and our context, and they're able to make decisions a lot faster. And that's the example of having something that isn't just purely information based. Takeaway number 2, possibly the biggest fucking takeaway in this entire 30-minute video, whatever it's going to be. Ask yourself a question. What do you think the most valuable tool is in your business? All right. Is it Claude? Is it ClickUp? Is it Notion? I'm going to say it's none of those things. I'm going to tell you what the best tool in your fucking business is, and that is your CRM, aka your lead tracker. Okay. I went through a bit of a dry spell not so long ago when I wasn't winning as many clients as I used to. And yes, we can blame other things like the algorithms are against us and fucking the robots are coming and all this kind of shit, which may have some truth in it. But ultimately, I noticed a pattern. I'd kind of forgotten the one thing that I really needed to do every single day that I just wasn't doing anymore. And that was going to my lead tracker, which was at the time, a very basic fucking spreadsheet, and looking at who the hottest leads were and when I needed to follow up with them. So as an example, if you don't have one, you need to start tracking your leads, because it will get to the point when you can't remember every single conversation that you've had, and you will need to know what stage they're at and when to follow up with them, and sometimes their fucking name. You will forget it. So I recommend, if you are building a CRM, you could either use something like HubSpot, you could build it yourself in Notion, or I'm going to recommend the basic, easy one, fucking Google Sheets. All right, just use a spreadsheet, and in that sheet, you're going to collect a few bits of information. You're going to collect the person's name. You're going to collect how to contact them or what platform to get them on. You're going to collect which stage of the journey they're at. So, are you nurturing them currently? Have they downloaded something of yours? Obviously, everyone has a slightly different journey. Are they interested in a call? Have you sent them a link to book a call? Have they inquired? Are they clicking your email? Like, depending on where they're at, all right, in that journey. Or are they a client? You know, we have a CRM or a lead tracker for our clients as well, so we know where they're up to. Then you want to probably give them a priority rating. Now you can do that using stars, so 4-star, 5-star leads, or you can just do it cool, warm, hot, something like that, all right? And then, of course, you want the date. You can go into notes and other things too, but ultimately those 5-6 pieces of information are what are going to feed your business in the next 90 days. There or thereabouts, all right? If you can't keep track of people in your business who have some form of interest potentially in working with you, you are fucking losing. And this was a massive reminder because there was a lady there named Emily who had an AI agent, which, you know, most of them did in there to be fair, an AI agent that sent her a morning pipeline report every single day in the morning and in the evening. Now, Emily has a sales team. So Emily needs to know that the sales team are basically doing their job. So one key thing to keep an eye on is the flow of traffic and the flow of leads and interest and attention coming in and running through your business. So she wanted to know that the sales team had advanced these prospects or potential leads of theirs at least one step further in the buying journey. All right. So if there's one thing that you take away from this, please let it be that you need to know who your hottest leads are and when you need to contact them and how, i.e. what stage they're at. So make it a priority. I ask all our clients to do this. You have a daily, call it a daily marketing block, 60 to 120 minutes every single morning, ideally, but certainly every single day that you are working, where you have conversations with your leads. Now, those conversations could be through phone calls. They could be through DMs. They could be through email messages or email messages. Send some email messages. It could be through emails or WhatsApp. All right. But that, massive takeaway. Takeaway number 3. Someone asked if it was worth creating a new lead magnet, but because they come up with this new framework. And then the host of the mastermind asked, well, how many lead magnets have you got? And he said 5 or 6. And I'm there keeping quiet because I've got like fucking 25. I just don't really use many of them anymore. And that's kind of the point, right? So what this person was basically doing is trying to create a new way for people to get in. And we're going to come back to that a little bit later. But trying to create a new way for people to come in. But he got questioned. And they said, well, what's the highest converting one? You know, what's the best thing? And he was like, it's our free webinar. We're just using ads to get people to it. And I was wondering if we should put a lead magnet in between the ads and the webinar. And they actually broke down his numbers. So if you think about the ads itself, then that goes to a landing page. Then that goes to, let's just keep it simple, the webinar itself. Okay, and then that would lead to a client. Fine and dandy. Problem is, he was worried about this metric. He was worried about the number of clients he was getting, which was a bit low. But he hadn't looked back at the other things and tried to optimize them. Because actually, enough people were clicking the ads. The click-through rate was good. All right? Enough people were hitting the landing page and signing up. So, opt-in rate was good. Enough people were coming on the webinar by the sounds of things. So, show-up rate was good. It was just this. All right? So, where does that tell us that the problem lies? The problem lies somewhere here. Okay? This is a great way to spot constraints in your business. All right? You look at the bit that is broken, and then you track backwards to the first thing that is fixed. All right? And then somewhere in that gap between the last bit that's broken and the first bit that's fixed, that is where the problem is. And in this case, it was the webinar. So, in respect to the gent who was talking, adding another fucking path in to try and get people to show up to the webinar or to become clients, all of this is just fucking wasted work. So we go back and we look at that bit there. All right, the bit circled in red. How can you improve the webinar? Now, there are a million ways you could improve the webinar. You could change it completely. You could change the pitch. You could change the offer stack. You could change the pricing. You could change the value that you give. You could change the hook. But somewhere in that process of the whole webinar process was where it was broken. We don't need to add new stuff in. Because when we do, this is what happens. All right, we go down, let's say, 0.5 meter, and then we hit resistance. And we go, oh, fuck it. Let's try something else. And then we go down 1 meter and we hit resistance. And then we keep just repeating this pattern. And I'm so guilty of it. And that's why I pay money to come in here. Because when I pay money into things like this, because when I pay money, I take it seriously. And then when I take things seriously, I actually learn and implement rather than just some of the free advice that people give out. So it's an expensive lesson, but I'm telling you, surrounding yourself with the right people actually works. The opposite of this is, of course, expanding, but going deeper by doing so. All right. Sorry, going deeper, but also expanding by doing so. And what that means is you have a lot more information. You've had a lot more shots on goal, probably more shots on target, because you've not just jumped around and tried the new thing and ultimately added more complexity to your business, which is what I'm very guilty of. Now, these are some of the principles, as I say, that have helped me get to this big number just using LinkedIn. What I'm going to do is stick a link, if you want it, I'm feeling very generous, a link to a free training where you can see exactly how I operate my businesses now and help my clients operate their businesses on the platform. It's completely free. I will stick the link underneath the video. Anyway, number 4, a great question that someone asked, which I know you have asked before. How do I stop myself from getting distracted? Because ultimately, if we had no distractions and we knew the 1 or 2 key things that we need to focus on, we would all be a lot richer. But the reason that we don't is because we're not able to make decisions as fast as we can, and we keep letting these little things get in our way, which is not what we want. So how do you actually choose what to focus on? Well, I think we've already kind of covered one of the best ways, and that's by looking at the journey or the thing that you're trying to attempt, looking at the end goal and reverse engineering and seeing what needs the most attention. When I flew over to Vegas to go to Alex and Layla Hormozi's acquisition.com headquarters, I went for a 2-day workshop. It was fucking wicked. Again, probably with a slightly higher level of person than I was at the time. So multi-million pound or multi-million dollar business owners. But they hone in on this one thing, and that is you find the constraint in your business, in your life, whatever, and then you spend all your available time, energy, and resources attacking that one constraint until it's solved. The constraint typically is the thing that causes the biggest blockage earliest on in the journey that you're trying to take people on. So that's how you find your main thing. But how do you focus only on that? Well, there are a few simple things you can do. I think environment is definitely one of them. So I'm quite fortunate in the sense that I've got the ability to change my environment within seconds. I've got a standing desk. I've got an Amazon thing. I won't say the name because she'll start talking a load of shit. I've got some lights. I've got earphones. And I've got playlists on tap. And all of those things allow me to get into whatever mood I want. You know, I've got different things that represent things to me. So I have a picture of myself and my wife here, as an example. I have a few different things. I like trainers, I like rum, a few different books, just memories and things that remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing. And whenever I need to, I will look at these things, or I will put a certain playlist on, or I will stand up and I will work, or I will be able to draw something rather than type something. And all these things allow me to get into the zone and what we'll go ahead and call focus mode, which then allows you to produce flow state or get into flow state. And when you're in flow state, if you're an entrepreneurial type, you're probably quite creatively wired, you will stay in that state for a long time. So just having the ability, just stacking the odds in your favor to allow you to work on that one thing. Another thing I invested in not so long ago, it's a bit cheaper than the mastermind, but was this. Brick. It's not working very well. There you go. Brick. What that is it's an app blocker. So I don't typically use it during the day because I'm quite good at staying away from my phone most of the time. But at night time, at 9:40 p.m. at the moment, that kicks in and it blocks every single app apart from YouTube. The reason I don't block YouTube is because I like listening to videos when I'm going to sleep. So typically like podcasts or meditations or just some weird like jungle sounds or some shit like that. Anyway, beside the point. A great exercise if you want to do something quite quickly is what I call the I don't wanna exercise. So you can make a list of the things that you don't want. If you're really struggling to find out what it is you're trying to focus on, or what you like, or what you want, or what the goal is, make a list of what it's not. It's a Charlie Munger thing. It's called inversion. You basically just invert the outcome that you want, or the process, or whatever. So make a list of the things that you don't want. I did this a while ago. I realized that I didn't want to take sales calls. So we got rid of sales calls. I realized that I didn't want to miss the gym any weekday at all. Probably should include weekends with that, because I'll put a bit of timber on. But anyway. Just by listing these things out, it was very easy to see what I did want. Well, I wanted a business that doesn't rely on us hopping on Zoom calls all the time. I wanted a lifestyle where I had time built in to go to the gym. And therefore it became a lot easier to focus on the main thing. Number 5. This is a big one. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jeremy Haynes. He's quite a big player in the info space now. He's based, or was based, out in Miami. I was in his mastermind a while ago. That was a little bit cheaper than this. It's 10 grand a month now to be in that fucking room. His promise is he will get you to $1 million a month. Not, I don't believe, possible just yet with my business model, but it's typically agencies. Anyway, I had a number of like one-on-one calls with Jeremy. He's a great guy. He's fucking brutal, which I love. I respond really well to that kind of stuff. And he said, I've noticed something about you, Chris. You're always forward thinking, and you're always planning out what's going to happen in 90 days, 180 days, 365 days time, rather than focusing on the short-term wins. And he taught me that you can, got it written here, some things will have an immediate payoff. There are actions you can take today that will get something or get a result very, very quickly. Most things take longer. And that was my entire mindset. It was like, oh, I'll build this system for this, or I'll make a plan for this. And it's very like, I'm just trying to tee things up very slowly rather than doing anything fast. And you can't just act in one lane or the other. You have to do some things. And he's got a sales team. He doesn't really, I imagine, need to do that much work, even though he works like fucking mad. And he said, well, put it like this. When is the last time you just picked up the phone and rang 10 people that didn't close and tried to get them over the line? I was like, well, never. And he was like, I do that every Friday. Every Friday that I'm free, I will take my shoes off, I don't even know if he said that. I think he did. I'm sure he's got lovely feet. He takes his shoes off, takes his socks off, and he walks round his estate. I've been there, it's fucking massive, in Miami. And he'll ask his sales manager to send him the last 3 or 4 hottest prospects who almost closed but didn't. And he'll ring them up and he'll have a conversation with them. Now, he's the founder, he's the CEO, he's got his team underneath him. He doesn't need to do that, but he understands that fast action, that fast, aggressive action, is much more likely to get an immediate payoff than going, oh, well, we'll retarget them with some ads and then we'll put them into an email nurture campaign and all this strategic, more long-term shit. And this came up at the mastermind because we were talking about more specifically the long-term plays and brand plays. And the chap that was running the mastermind or hosting that particular part of it said his 2 most powerful long-term strategic brand moves, and that's what he called them, brand moves. So we're not talking about immediate cash, we're not talking about loads of leads, we're talking about something more long-term that has built his brand, that has made him more credible and more authoritative in like over a 2-year horizon, have been 1, writing his book, but he wrote his book very differently than most business books, and 2, launching his own podcast. All right, and there's a reason that those things work long term. All right, you can't just release a book if you're not well known and make loads of money from it. It doesn't work like that. Every fucker's got a book. Right? Most of them are just probably, I imagine now, like glorified ChatGPT PDFs or whatever. But that is something he puts in front of everyone. If you look at some of the people in the space, in the info and coaching and entrepreneurial space, when they have books, they're giving them out everywhere. They're easy to get. Another thing that I've learned, like I should probably utilize my book more. I'm really happy with it, and I don't really talk about it much, which, again, beside the point. The other thing is his own podcast, which is, I guess, kind of like a version of this, where He's giving potential clients of his the opportunity to spend time with him long form. I call these brand minutes, where we're literally just clocking up minute after minute after minute with people who are interested because they will stay and binge. He's giving them the opportunity, but he's doing it one to many, okay? And he's doing it in a way that compounds over a podcast or a YouTube channel or whatever, which is why I think long form content like this is really, really valuable, because not everyone is ready to buy the minute they see your face or read your or view your content. But they will over time if they're exposed to enough of you. But that's why it's a long-term move. You know, again, filming this video, I'm not expecting loads of leads to flood in and people to sign up and buy, especially if it's the first time that they've watched me. But if it's the 5th or 6th time you've watched me, maybe your interest is starting to peak. You know, we've got some amazing results. Come and join us. Final one, all right? I've sold the same offer for 4.5 years, okay? Same structure. We've made loads of changes to it. I'm currently working on V7, which is crazy. But we've sustained 4.5 years by using different packaging, all right? Because rather than doing this, which we mentioned earlier, and trying something new all the time and restructuring your whole business, and as I said, adding complexity, what we can do is just change the wrapping paper, all right? Still the same thing inside. So this could be with a lead magnet, as an example. If you launch a lead magnet, or you have, let's say, a tool, let's say it's a scorecard, and it's, I don't know, it evaluates your business, let's just say that. If you launch one of those and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you need to go and build a new one. Ultimately, you probably just need to work on the packaging or the way that it is perceived. Perhaps it's the title or the landing page. So we start to look at, well, no one's downloaded the lead magnet, so we don't know how good it is. But then we've got, let's say, the page, and we've got the title of the lead magnet, and then we've got the promo or the content or whatever. The best thing you can do is change the title first and foremost, because that will influence the page, it will influence the promotion or how you talk about a lead magnet. You don't need to change the lead magnet itself, just keep that the fucking same. And then you can change it again. Like, none of this is tattooed on your forehead or written in fucking blood. All right, so thinking about that has been very refreshing, because as things started to go a little bit stale a few months ago, I started, I don't know if you've ever done this, but started to give up a bit of hope, like maybe I need to change everything, maybe I need to, you know, launch a fucking SaaS product or go really low ticket with the membership, and then I'm like, whoosh, snap out of it, man. All you have to do is talk about stuff slightly differently. Gyms will do this as an example. So, let's use a different example actually. Pubs or restaurants. When Mother's Day rolls around, or Valentine's Day, or Easter Sunday, or Christmas, or the summer, they have different menus available. Slightly different look and feel. Maybe some different beer mats on the table. Maybe they'll have a few different cocktails or a different display or whatever it may be. During the World Cup, I imagine there were loads of footballs and grass featured everywhere. They don't change the fucking pub, all right? They don't probably even change 90% of the menu. All they're doing is changing the look and feel and how that is packaged up and presented. And that's all you need to do. If something's failing, just try a few different angles first. The reason that this works, I think, is recency, all right? Something new or something recent or something close to you, or the time period that you're in, or the seasonality is probably a better word, means that you are much more susceptible to it, because you have a heightened awareness that that is coming up or that that is relevant right now. So if it's, I didn't mean to write recency, I meant to write relevancy, specificity. I'm an idiot. Anyway, quick summary. Rather than just doing live trainings or any kind of teaching, include something that makes the teaching more actionable, because then people are going to be more likely to consume /download/join it. Your best tool is your CRM. Okay? Track your leads. Simple Google Sheet, few fields, and make sure you use that daily, every working day. Go for depth rather than breadth. These two kind of interchangeable, all right? Don't keep trying loads of brand new things and ripping up your business and adding complexity and starting new offers and changing your niche and changing, I don't know, your offer, whatever it may be. Stick to the same thing, but think about repackaging it and spending a little bit more time after you've diagnosed the constraint. Make a list of the things that you don't want if you want to work out what it is you do want. And then the final thing, work out your fast and slow plays. What aggressive action can you take today that might produce some fast results? And what are a couple of things that you can spend a longer or have a longer time horizon or a longer term play that is going to compound, maybe in the background, or maybe it's not something that requires massive effort. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. If you want to get the LinkedIn training, I will stick the link underneath this video. You can grab it for free. I enjoyed that. I'll catch you later.